Welcome back. Thank you very kindly for staying tuned into Pan-African Television. My name again is Kwame Owusu Danso. So before the break, I intimated to you that we're going to be having a very wonderful conversation today. And let me quickly share with you the topics that we've tabled for our conversation. And then I'll introduce my panelists and tell you what the WhatsApp number is. ECOWAS suspends Mali from decision-making bodies. So that's the African story we're going to be touching on this morning. Infrastructural development, MPP's achievement second to none, says Alhaji Dr. Baumia. Illegal mining is also a topic that we are going to be touching on, and how bad things are getting. Military deployment in Volta region, nobody is more Ghanaian than others. Togbe Afede says that Western region gets 60 million euro waste treatment plan. So these are the topics that we've selected for today's conversation. I have been joined in the studios by Honorable Inusa Fuseni with his big laptop in front of him. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
We're good.
Awesome.
Good.
And for the first time, and I'm super excited about this because Kamaldeen is also here seated. Kamaldeen is the Deputy National Communications Director for the NPP. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kwame. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. is also here seated. Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for your time. Yes. Right, so we're kickstarting the conversation with the African story. And as always, I want to respectfully start with you, Honorable Inusa Fuseni.
Thank you so very much. I think that it will be proper for me, like I usually do, to extend my sincere regards to your viewers, my co-panelists, and to your good self for hosting us this Thursday. Boubacar Keita has been in the news for a very long time. Apparently, the people of Mali came to the conclusion that they were experiencing serious underdevelopments in the country. Mali itself has been ravaged by terrorism. The government of Boubacar Keita is not in control of the entire country. Because of the presence of terrorists in the Maghreb region and their activities in Mali, the economic situation has deteriorated. There's poverty and hunger. International relief agencies are unable to reach millions of people in Mali because of the threats to their security. And so the hunger is exacerbated every day. Coupled with this hunger is insecurity, that people are killed, terrorists bombard mosques, marketplaces, and places of worship. And the French have got stationed in Mali a force that is intended to help stabilize the situation and deal with the terrorists who are camped in the Al-Maghrib region. Now, a combination of all these things have made governance in Mali very difficult. Now, when difficult situations present themselves, people in government sometimes want to take advantage. I mean, the clear case is our COVID-19 situation and the government in Ghana. You know, the government in Ghana has taken maximum benefit of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's gone for 100 million out of budget loan, has gone for 275 million from our stabilization fund out of budget, has gone for $1 billion from the World Bank out of budget, has gone for 10 million from the Bank of Ghana out of budget. So governments take advantage of such challenges to misbehave. So the accusation in Mali is that to continue his reign in power, Boubacar Keita manipulated the parliamentary elections and got members of his government, members of his party elected into parliament so that he could have absolute control over the legislature. So there is an accusation of rigging an election, electoral malpractice. Now, again, his son, who was a member of parliament, was put in charge of one of the very important committees of parliament. Again, if we talk about nepotism, it's not only limited to Ghana, it found its head in Mali as well. And so, a culmination and an aggregation of all these things led to some insecurity. You recall that about a month or two ago, the president of Ghana, as part of an ECOWAS team of heads of states, went to try to mediate a solution. They recommended that those election results that had been challenged, or those MPs who had been challenged, their elections should be declared null and void, and a new one contested for them. I mean, organized for them to contest. The parliamentarians in West Africa, Mohamed Ayerga, MP for Boko included, also went to try to engage the members of parliament to see whether they could arrive at an amicable solution. The international organizations, international bodies also tried to mediate a settlement, and we commented on it here. You recall, we commented on it here, saying that we hope that a middle point will be arrived at to keep the stability of the state. Somehow, a middle point was never arrived at. The opposition movement was intransigent. They will not tolerate Abubakar Keita in office. They thought that his regime was illegitimate, that he had manipulated the electoral system to his advantage, that he had engaged in corruption, massive corruption. Everybody in Mali is suffering except Abubakar Keita and his family. And so, and even with the few opportunities given to people to contest elections, he had manipulated the elections in his favor. Now, you know, the military have guns. We bought guns for them to protect us. And somehow, because they have those guns, they also think that they are the defenders of the people. They are to protect the borders. But because they have got hands, they also think that they are the defenders of the people. And that when the matters come to a head, they can intervene to stabilize the country. So, yesterday, or the day before yesterday, at dawn, around 2 o'clock, the armed forces struck in Mali and removed Abubakar Keita. Abubakar Keita himself spoke on BBC and said that the way the country was going, it was important for him to resign from office, and that he had resigned from office because he didn't want to continue to rule in the midst of bloodshed, and he would not be president of Mali if a single blood is to be shed. So he resigned. Now, the military junta have invited the civil society organizations and the political opposition to join them to see whether they can stabilize. They say that their ultimate aim is just to stabilize the country. They believe that the country is not stabilized. People have their doubts about whether or not they can stabilize the country because the military and the government are not controlling the government. Now, they have received huge international condemnation because African countries, the OAU, the ECOWAS have signed protocols which does not recognize governments that are military juntas. So they have faced huge condemnation. They said no matter what, they should have allowed the democratic process to take place and resolve the issues. The comforting thing is that the military say that they will hand over power in the shortest possible time. What is the shortest possible time, and what is their definition of the shortest possible time? Nobody knows. But the opposition, who couldn't have space to operate, are saying that they are confident that the military will return government to the civilian population as early as possible.
Interesting. Right, so you're still watching the News Review segment here on Pan-African Television, your most watched morning show program in Ghana and on the continent, 32 African countries. We're super excited that you have found time to join us this morning. Let me now go to Kamaldeen and listen to him on this African story.
Well, Kwame, good morning once again, and good morning to Honorable Fuseni and also to Mr. Kwesi Pratt. To your viewers, I want to say a very good morning to them. My first time on your show, and it's refreshing to be here. Africa at it again. It saddens my heart when we depart from constitutionalism to individual interest when it comes to governing a particular state in Africa. and for that matter, West Africa. We've come a long way. We've had independence in the 60s, and of course, some even in the 50s. One would expect that where we are now, our leaders should be focused on making sure that the decision to choose someone to man the affairs of a state in Africa must be in the hands of the citizens of Africa.
Absolutely.
I mean, we should get to that level where we do not, on any day, try to bring down constitutionalism. I'm not talking about constitution. I'm talking about constitutionalism, basically. You see, it is only the right way to ascertain the rights of an individual. That is the fundamental human rights of an individual. But where you arrest that and push that on, to the gutters, then of course the fundamental human rights that we all want to see, okay, in its high esteem, indeed would be lost. So what happened in Mali was a sad spectacle, or is a sad spectacle. And like Honorable Yunusa rightly put it, Mali already is wobbling. The jihadis are at it, insurgency always, and of course, lots of problems within their governing structure. Okay, now with all these problems, then of course you come out again with guns to say this is the right way to solve the problem. Yes, Boubacar Keita might have not done one or two things right in the opinion of some opposing factors. But that is not the way to go. So when I heard the AU with its 15-member council, Security Council, had suspended Mali, I thought that was the way to go. Of course, in conformity with the agreements or conventions or the protocols that they have established for themselves as members. I thought that was the best way to go. But listening to Ishmael Wag is the spokesperson of the military who took over. He says that indeed, in the shortest possible time, they are going to ensure that normalcy is restored. In this case, constitutional rule is put in place so that democracy will be seen to be, if you like, triumphing in that in Mali. Well, I think that they should quicken up and they should try to wake up to do a whole lot of put a whole lot of things in place to ensure that indeed the democracy that we all want to see is working. But you see, sometimes we buy these things for ourselves. There are countries where, I wouldn't like to mention a particular country, but countries where clearly you see someone trying to circumvent, if you like, the laws that have been established. So if, for example, you have, say, a constitution in place, then someone comes to power for reasons known to him or her, wants to say that, look, I have gotten to a limit, but yet still I want to continue. Or I think that when we want to take this process, let us try to skew things to suit us, as it were. These are some of the problems that we face in Africa, and I think that our leaders must try as much as possible to dance to the principles that establishes every governing process, which is the best principle and best practices for democracies to grow. Sad spectacle as it appears, but I think that there's still hope for Africa. There's still hope for West Africa. Our West African leaders must speed up the process of ensuring that indeed we do not have, such situations here.
Right.
I think when they speak with one voice, it's going to get the military, in Mali to realize that no, I think we cannot get that international support. I'm happy with the huge condemnation coming from both the UN, AU, and other, ECOWAS, arrangements that we have. Right. Greatly, I really condemn it. It's not proper move, and it's not best for us as Africans, and for that matter, West Africa.
Thank you very much, Kamaldeen. Well, let me remind you, the viewers, that yesterday we kickstarted the big debate here on Pan-African Television, which is a debate between all the aspirants who are seeking to lead the CPP. Now, yesterday we started the debate with the General Secretary aspirant, Unfortunately, all of them couldn't appear. It was only Kabila who made it and delivered. Today, we're going to be having the chairperson aspirants. And so we want to implore all of you to make time and join us on Pan-African Television at 6 p.m. today, so that you can also get to know the CPP a little better, and also get to know the people who are seeking to lead the CPP. And on Friday at 6 p.m., we're going to be having the presidential aspirants as well. And then so you can also try, if you want to come here, why not? I mean, you can come here and watch them debate here at Pan-African Television. Mr. Pratt, let's hear from you, sir.
Well, sometimes the world gets exceedingly funny. And the situation in Mali is exposing the world for what it is. All these hypocrites around the world, in the European Union, in the African Union, and the ECOWAS, and so on, who is violating the Constitution of Mali? The president who blatantly rigged an election and is waging a war of attrition on innocent civilians? Is he the one who is breaching the Constitution? Or the military which is being urged on by the population to bring some semblance of stability? Look, the Malian situation is getting more and more interesting. In any case, who has the right to choose the leaders of Mali? Only the people of Mali have a right to choose their leaders. Not ECOWAS, not AU, and certainly not the European Union. And it is clear from the reports we are getting from Mali that the so-called coup is very, very popular, extraordinarily popular. All the parties, except the ruling parties, are firmly behind the so-called coup. In any case, how is this a coup when the president resigned? How is this a coup when the president resigned? The hypocrisy, the double standards and so on is just amazing. But do you know why? Right now, if you go into ECOWAS, how many heads of states in ECOWAS states have any legitimacy? Look at what Alassane Ouattara is doing in La Côte d'Ivoire. Blatant violation of the constitution. In any case, how did he even get into power? He was installed by France and former colonial powers and so on. They teamed up and installed him. He refused to accept the results of an election when the matter in contention at that time was whether or not the ballot should be recounted. And then today, he's decided to go for a third term in flagrant violation of the constitution. Nobody is imposing sanctions on La Côte d'Ivoire or the government of Alassane Ouattara. But they are imposing sanctions on the people who are trying to bring stability to Mali. Does it make any sense? Look, many of these leaders want to send a signal to Mali. Not even to Mali. They want to send a signal to their own people that if they violate the constitution, if they rig elections and so on, nothing should be done to them. They should still continue to rule, because if you go against them, they will impose sanctions on you. They are deceiving themselves. There's a new wave through Africa. There's a new wave through the world. Our peoples are not going to accept governments which impose themselves on the people. Our people are not going to accept governments which rig elections. Our people are not going to accept governments which flagrantly abuse the rights of our people. The people of Africa will stand up for what is just, and they will use all the means available to them to build just societies and so on. I mean, I've been listening to the so-called coup leaders. Understand? And they made it clear that they're not interested in maintaining power. They've made it clear that they're working towards a transition which will lead to new, free and fair elections. And they're supported by the Malian people. What matters most is the support of the Malian people and not the support of the European Union and so on. They should deal with their own matters. What have they been able to do about the situation in Belarus? What have they been able to do about it? What have they been able to do about the massive racism, the repression of African people, leading to death and so on? What have they been able to do about that? What have they been able to do about their own economic conditions, which are declining and so on? They should mind their own business. You have fed up with this European Union and other bodies talking down to the African people as if we know nothing. Only the people of Mali have a right to decide who their leaders are, and there can be no compromise on that. They can impose all the sanctions they want. They can do everything they want. The people of Mali will decide their own destiny. Finish.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. 0260846539 is the WhatsApp number. We're also streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television. And let me remind you, we're also streaming live on YouTube as well, so you can watch the morning show on YouTube and leave your comments there. I will read them out to you on the show. Let's come back home and deal with some domestic stories. Before we get to the big elephant, I want us to deal with some of the other very important issues here, one of which is the illegal mining, how things are getting bad. This story was captured by the Daybreak newspaper for today, and I'd like to read a little bit of it. The police in Enchi has arrested 6 illegal miners who work for HK Zingding Hong Kong, a Chinese company, who were mining down the playground of a newly constructed basic school at Omampe, a community in the Awin municipality. The Omampe Community Basic School was awaiting its first use, had it not been the COVID-19 pandemic which forced the Ghana government to close down all basic schools in the country. The 6, 4 Ghanaians and 2 Chinese, were found mining at the compound after the MCE for Awin, Samuel Adujemfi, spotted them during a tour to the area. The leaders of the group, one Liu Zhenfeng and their Ghanaian counterpart Yaya, are on the run, according to our Municipal Police Commander, Superintendent B.Y. Akotege. And it goes on and on and on and on. Come on, let me come with you. Let me start with you on this particular topic.
Well, what is illegal is illegal. It's that simple. If it's illegal, it's illegal, no matter who is involved. We're building a society where truth, facts, and of course objectivity ought to play, and always. Now, there are custodians of, if you like, the authority vested in us as a state in this country, and of course the leaders. And when we talk about leaders, we do not just narrow it to the president and his appointees at the top. Institutions are supposed to be working and seem to be working. Now, if we all came out, it paves the way for all of us to be on board. It's not to say that indeed in the process you wouldn't have some unscrupulous ones behaving untoward towards achieving this noble goal, which is to ensure that we nip the illegality in the bud. Unfortunately, we're going to have few of them doing it. Again, crack the whip when it so happens. So if some of these stories come out like this, I am happy a police commander has revealed, which means investigation is in the process.
Absolutely.
Maybe that is what we know. There may be series of them going on. But sadly, instead of allowing the laws to work, as usual, we will turn it into NDC MPP affair, because we want cheap votes and cheap politics, which many of us are victims of. Myself, the Honorable Member of Parliament sitting here, some who are outside watching, go to the social media portals. We will attribute it to a particular person, forgetting that we ought to help institutions to work. So when we sit and get a platform like this, my expectation is for us to say that, look, this is a canker that is disturbing all of us, that is worrying all of us. What can we all do on the table if we are talking about being sensible on policies? There are those who will tell you your policies are senseless. Forget the politics. But ask yourself, fundamentally, what ought to be done? What is supposed to be seen to have been done to ensure that we have an enabling environment for all of us, that we have a future for all of us, that the young ones coming up will still, grow up to meet not a degraded land, but afforestation going up. greening Ghana. What are we doing? All we will do is, oh, the government of the day has failed. They have put together Operation Vanguard. And Operation Vanguard, where is it? All we'll do is, let's blame the president. Let's blame who? Let's do. It is important to blame when in fact you can lay claim to evidential proofs. But you don't just come sit down and speak to speculations. You start off this conversation this morning on this topic with a case in point. Which case tells us some names have been mentioned, which case tells us the institution called the police institution is actually investigating. I want to see this to a logical conclusion. Are people going to be arrested and punished? Are people going to be indeed well interrogated for the truth to be unearthed? Or are we, as usual, going to go around to do politics with it? To say that, oh, this government is in power, therefore there is it. When the other government comes, trust me, the same people will also come out and tell you that we are NDC, or we are PNC, or we are CPP. Our party is in power, therefore we have the right to do to embark on an illegality.
Right.
And we'll continue on this tangent for a very long time. This matter, I think the fight against illegal mining and Galamsey, for that matter, is a fight for all of us. I heard the flag bearer of the NDC some time ago, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, former, speaking against Galamsey. I've heard the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo speaking against Galamsey. I've heard their close confidants, if you like, people that they work with in their office or they work with, talk against Galamsey. And if you all do this, and even the media, I saw a platform, Media Against Galamsey, came out to do that.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is that Ghana is all we have. Ghana is a place we need to all ensure that the right thing is done. But of course, like I said, we have reduced the entire thing to the NDC MPP politics each time. I am here representing MPP, all right. But of course, Mother Ghana must be held in a higher esteem.
Right.
Reason why the president told us that do not be spectators, but be citizens of this country. And now, if we are citizens of this country, and principles are established and fundamentals are established for us to do the right thing, then we do that devoid of parochialism, devoid of political expediency. But unfortunately, we go to sit on radio and on TV, and all we want to do is, I want some cheap vote. The Ghanaian watching you and I have become so sophisticated and complex in terms of being a voter that you should know. So sometimes when I sit down and I listen to some social commentators and I listen to some political commentators, I mean, I say to myself, what do we take Ghanaians for? What do we take the citizens of this country for? Are you saying that they do not know what is right? Is all that we say on TV that matters? Then we will reduce every single item to NDC MPP, including what is an illegality. I want to see all of us establishing a commonality, like I said earlier on, blaming and chastising whoever is embarking on some of these things, and ensure that the right thing is done for all of us to go, but not to impugn motives of some political activities. Okay, and targeting a particular government in power, knowing very well that even if you were there, if you are there, the same thing is going to happen. You were there and the same thing was happening.
Yeah.
You are not there, the same thing is happening. What steps are we all taking to move to get this actually solved? That's the problem. So for me, I think whoever is caught by the law embarking on an illegality, like in this case, if well established and if well investigated, no one is above the law. I'm not a lawyer, but Article 17 of the Constitution of Ghana will tell you that there's no single person in this country who is above the law. And so long as that is established, so long as that principle is established, and of course we are going to speak to truth and objectivity, then of course we'll have a discourse on the table, not to come and sit down and skew, if you like, facts, I mean, issues towards you when you think that they befit you, or when you think that, of course, it's going to benefit you. Then, of course, you throw garbage to one you think that it will not benefit in a falsehood manner. So this matter, let me commend the president, as I learned, for initiating such a move when he came into office. He might have not gotten 100% of it, but of course, the intent alone is a great move for all of us. The line has actually been shown. We all have to toe it, and we all have to ensure that indeed we get this actually, pushed out. But then we do not do that. That's the sad aspect of it. I want to see all of us coming on board, condemning it. Media, whoever, let's all condemn it with all the energies that we have. Then at the end of the day, we'll be able to save it. In Tanzania, they had these problems. They streamlined it, ensure that, look, we are going to make sure that small-scale mining would actually be very legal. Let's find a way. Today, when you go to Tanzania, it's a great move. They have been able to fight this illegal mining, and they have been able to ensure that they sanitize their environment when it comes to that. If we can also use it as a model and continue, it's not a day's job, it's an event. I mean, it's not an event, it's a process. So I think that we should all come on board, bring, profess solutions, and let's move on and stop this. This party is in power and there's galamsey. That party is in power and there's galamsey. Whichever party comes, I can tell you, we have evidence to prove that whichever party comes, there has been galamsey in it. But the commitment of the leaders is what matters. Let us come out and fight it and be able to push this away so that our environment will be safe.
Thank you very much. Kamaldeen, Honorable Minister of State, let's hear from you.
Well, I don't know what to say.
I'm not sure you would know what to say.
Because Kamaldeen says we should not blame leaders.
Did I?
But leadership is cause. And everything is effect. And there is a wide gap between talking and taking action. And I have said, I was former minister for lands and natural resources. So I, in this country, deported more than 5,000 foreign nationals, majority of them Chinese, from this country. I was given clear directives and instructions by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to rid the small-scale mining sector of illegalities. The first approach was to use law and order, because small-scale mining is an exclusive preserve of the Ghanaian. The second was to get all stakeholders, because small-scale mining takes place in communities. In those communities, there are chiefs, you have assemblymen, you have the district chief executive, you even have regional ministers. You have the civil society organization, and you have fringe communities. To get all of them to understand that it is in our utmost interest to curtail and regulate small-scale mining. In fact, small-scale mining was a banned activity in Ghana until 1990, when Jerry John Rawlings legalized small-scale mining, because it had become a social phenomenon and the unemployment was too high. So if small-scale mining could provide employment for Ghanaians, then it was better to legalize it. It was precisely because of the legalization of small-scale mining that the Precious Minerals Marketing Company was established, because there was no avenue to sell gold or minerals won by small-scale mining. So you needed to create that avenue. When we were fighting small-scale mining, sorry to say, Kamal, your party thought that we were just being wicked. You were just being wicked. That the Ghanaians were taking food. They never mind the polluted waters. That we were trying to deprive them of their food. That is why when Nana Akufo-Addo went to the western region, he told them, in Twi, Obimnumuse, Semiba, Bachwa, small-scale mining in Jumano. Omobua, Omodada. These are the words of Nana Akufo-Addo to be able to get into office. So the setting up of the interministerial task force on small-scale mining was an afterthought. Come on. That's why it didn't find expression in your manifesto. There's no small-scale mining matter in the MPP manifesto of 2016. It was an afterthought. No, it's true. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm talking based on research, Kamal. So, when they set it up, but how do you intend to win the fight against small-scale mining when the Galamsey kingpin is your chairman? The person responsible for bringing Chinese citizens to this country to engage in Galamsey is Wimpini. Wuntumi or Wimpini. Wuntumi. He. I'm telling you on facts and research that we did. I was minister. So how can you fight it? So little wonder. And I said it time and again that they will fail. Not that I wish them failure, because they had no strategic blueprint. You remember, I was the first person in this country to say that we could use drones to fight small scale. I was poo-pooed by your party. The only person who called me and said, tell me, what is it about that you have said and our people are talking about, is the man who is now at the transport. What's his name? Nana Kumia. And when I explained, but it's a new idea. If it's a new idea and you have said it, why should people be? They should try it. Now they are using drones. This is your party. So you see, how can you succeed in small-scale fighting small-scale mining? When excavators and equipment are seized from small-scale miners, then you share the equipment amongst yourself and go back to small-scale mining. What do you think the people who are not close to government will do? What do you think they do? If you are in a village that the king of the village decides to do a haircut which is known for ruffians, what do you think young men will do? The king has now barbered himself. He's barbered himself by a rough haircut. What do you think the young man will do? This is the MPP chairman, vice chairman, Central Region says what? What did he say? Come on. Talk is cheap. They said that they needed money from the Galamsey side to do what? To fund the MPP party. What is his name? Canada Japan, what did he say?
MPP vice chairman of Central.
Yes.
Kwame
Owusu.
Suspended vice chairman.
Oh, but he said it before he was suspended. Now, what did Canada Japan say? That the Nakufado is like a tree without roots when it comes to fighting Galamsey, because all his agents and officials are engaged in Galamsey. So you see, and when we were fighting Galamsey, they so polluted the minds of people of this country that even a Reverend Dr. Mate or what?
Professor Mate.
Condemned us. I told him, Professor, you had gotten it wrong. I told him, you have gotten it wrong, Professor Mate. You have gotten it wrong. You have just bought into cheap propaganda. Because when we did Galamsey and the Chinese thought we couldn't deport them until they started living in droves by themselves. We were able to fish out those who were in the security agencies who were compromising our fight against small-scale mining. Today, all of them are back. I won't mention names, but all of them are back to the security services. Those who suspended, who were compromised in small-scale mining. Look, MPP government has failed total in fighting small-scale mining. They can't succeed. Even the licenses. He's here. This deputy communicating. I know he won't say that because he's sworn to keep secrets. The licensing regime was just a reversal. They thought that those who had the small-scale licenses were NDC, just like contract payments. You know, they don't pay contractors. They think that anybody who got a contract during NDC time was on NDC, so they don't pay. The same thing. When they said we were going to, you say you want to regulate small-scale mining, and you have provided a legal regime for persons who want to mine. Not so. Somebody takes advantage of the law, passes through all the processes, gets a mining certificate, mining license to mine. You come into office and you put a blanket ban on all licenses. You have treated that person. You have treated that person who got the license legally like somebody who got it illegally.
So you lump them all together.
When I said that was wrong, they didn't understand me. So you compelled, because after that person who didn't go for license, what money did he spend? The person who used money and time and resources to get the license, he will have to go and pay those who he got the money from. So you compel them to go back to site. MVP, I'm telling you, they have no plan, no strategic plan. The government as you go. Pilolo, government as you go. And that is why we are in this difficulty. Look, like KB Asante told me, if you want to, at the time I was fighting Galamsey, he came to my office, congratulated me, and said the only way to succeed is by draconian action. Tanzania, and then my LLM thesis was based on that. Tanzania did not achieve success by talking. They achieved success by working.
Thank you. Quick commercial break. Stay with us. Don't move with Marcel. We shall return and listen to Mr. Pratt on this. Don't worry. After Mr. Pratt, I'll give you some few minutes. Quick commercial break. Stay with us.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back. Thank you very kindly for staying tuned into Pan African Television. Let me remind you again that the WhatsApp number is active 0260846539. We're also streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan African Television. We're still having a conversation on illegal mining. We've listened to Honorable Linus Ofuseni. We've listened to Mr. Kamaldeen. Let's now hear from Mr. Kwesi Pratt.
Well, I think it's quite clear that illegal mining or galamsey has not had adequate focus. And government's attitude to fighting galamsey has been, at best, half-hearted. I mean, all of us are aware of all the revelations which have poured out over the last couple of years. I mean, I remember very clearly the expose by Anas Arimuyao Anas. I remember the fight between party leaders about whose children and whose assigns were involved in the galamsey exercise. The controversy over excavators which were seized from illegal miners and where they ended up and so on. All of these have pointed to the fact that indeed the malice is not being fought rigorously enough. The consequences of galamsey are so dire. I mean, I went to Kibi a couple of years ago. When I saw the damage which was being done in Kibi, I was frightened. I mean, the road, they were eating into the road, farm lines have been destroyed, water bodies have been destroyed and so on. One would have thought that there would be some serious effort at combating this menace. Unfortunately, there has been no serious effort at combating this menace. I listened to the video recording, which was apparently done by the vice chairman of the New Patriotic Party from the Central Region, which actually alleged that party leaders had met and decided that they should get involved in Galamsey as a means of raising funds, for party activity. And I thought that was the most horrible thing that could happen, And this is not an allegation which is being made by an NDC activist or a CPP activist, so being made by a leader of the New Patriotic Party himself. And I was more than scandalized when they tried to draw Professor Frimpong Boati into the frame. Because Professor Frimpong Boati is somebody I'd respected, very, very seriously. I mean, being, not just for being a heart surgeon, but being a pioneer in heart surgery and so on. He had built such a huge image for himself in the scientific community and in the medical community. And when he was placed in charge of environment and so many people were very, very happy given who he was and so on. Here we are now being confronted with allegations of his involvement and the involvement of his son in the perpetration of Galamsey. And it makes you feel so, so very sick. You understand? It makes you feel so sick. I am totally disappointed in the so-called fight against Galamsey. I mean, look, everybody put in their best. The Ghanaian media actually formed an organization, to highlight this campaign, to spearhead it, attended meetings with corporate bodies and so on. So much effort was put into this. And it appears that this effort which was put into this fight against Galamsey has been subverted by people in very high places. I mean, look, we are in August 2020, and we are still talking about the menace of Galamsey. It's shocking. I mean, if you look at the momentum that this thing gathered 3.5 years ago, one would have thought that in a couple of a couple of months or 1 year, Galamsey will be over. It's not over. I drove to Takoradi across the Ankobra River, and when I saw the color of the river, I mean, it was clear, that water pollution is still going on extensively and so on. Indeed, I'm really embarrassed by the developments, which are unfolding with regards to the fight, the so-called fight against Galamsey. I'm really, really embarrassed. And the Ghanaian environment is in danger of being destroyed by the recklessness of public officials and their pursuit of their self-interest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pratt. Kamal, let me introduce the next topic, but I'll start with you so that you can use maybe just 1 minute of your time to touch on that story. Yeah. So I'm sure you know that every government prides itself with the investments that they've made, and we do know that the SWAL administration, the NDC, actually was, if you talk about infrastructure, they, in their estimation, were very good at it. This government has also indicated that they performed creditably well as opposed to what the NDC has been saying relative to infrastructure development. We're going to now begin the conversation of infrastructure debate, which has been ongoing after Dr. Bawumia did a town hall presentation and indicated that they had performed extremely well than the SWAL administration in terms of infrastructure. I want to respectfully start with you, Kamal Dean, but before then you can touch on, so I'll give you a few minutes for your rebuttals, and then we'll start with the infrastructure debate. Sir.
Okay, that's fine. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
I listened to the former minister at the Ministry for Lands, Natural Resources, and Forestry and Natural Resources. And of course, I thought they did well. Okay? They had a reason to fight an illegality, of course, which he championed. By his assertion here, the president had directed him then to ensure that that was fought. Perfect. We have another regime where the president himself also came up publicly to assert same and push, meaning, of course, not a single authority that we put in place as Ghanaians in recent times is for the illegality. No one is for it. That's what it means. But you see, governance as it appears in the structure that we do have, of course, it's not performed by just an individual. He says that Professor KB Asante advised him, and look, to fight an illegality of this nature, in this case being Galamsey, you need draconian measures put in place. I could not have agreed with him the more, the professor, when he says so. And of course, LLM thesis referencing Tanzania. I also mentioned Tanzania earlier on. Question: what were the actions put in place by the Tanzanians? And did they allow petty party parochialism, cheap politics, to eat into such a process? With all respect, that is how
To answer your question.
oh no! You see,
So when you get your time,
when you get your time, the day. You see, these are the questions. You see, when, if only, even if it was there and it's minimal, or the measure of it is minimal, it helped them succeed. What is our case? MPP former vice chairperson said this. You've tainted the entire argument. It's fine. Then, with the impression throwing out that whoever hears MPP former vice person, who is an individual, who in fact has even been punished along the line for certain actions or inactions he's taken in the course of the fight, and it's tried knowledge, it's common knowledge, everybody knows that. Yet, you will not talk about the punitive actions taken against him. You are comfortable to reference him to gain some cheap political, if you like. With a great respect, of course. He was removed from office where he was in charge. That's the point I'm talking about. He was removed from office when he was in charge as a confiscated whatever. You understand?
Yeah.
That is a punitive action.
Oh, I think this is
He was removed from office. That's the point. He ceased to be in charge. That is clear. Now, I listened to Honorable Fuseni. He kept on talking about small-scale mining, small-scale mining, small-scale mining. Let us draw a distinction between small-scale mining and illegal mining. There are two things. As in, he has been a minister. I don't know. He didn't give a definition of what his small-scale mining is. He kept on small-scale. I've noted it down. Small-scale mining. Let us not create the impression out there that small-scale mining per se is an illegality. No. It's not an illegality. It is when you do it without recourse to, if you like, processes that will give you the mandate to do it, that is where it becomes an illegality.
Right.
And my point I want to make is that the moratorium that he sought to poo-poo, that the government had come to say that all those with this license, concessions, ought put down their license, allow the process to move on, then we will collect data and ensure that after we are done, then we sanitize the situation, the system, and then you all go back to your work and do what is legal. Because you could not know that the man in Chebi mining and claiming doing small-scale mining had the license or the requisite license to do that. You could not know that the man in Akontombra doing it had this. So you wanted to get all these people bring on board. That is why the moratorium was instituted.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, let's say fast, please, and people watching us, be judges to it. After that was given, and they sanitized the situation, and then said, let's get back the license to people. Is small-scale mining being fought? No. It is Galamsey that remains an illegality, but not small-scale mining. So let's not credit ourselves, okay, for what I think you haven't even done enough.
Right.
So my point here is that small-scale mining per se is not an illegality. It is when it assumes the position of Galamsey without recourse to license procedures, without recourse to documentation, proper documentation. That is what we fight. And that is why I'm saying that armed to the teeth is the NDC fighting it. Armed to the teeth is the MPP fighting it. It's not to say that within us, there will not be some unscrupulous ones who will embark on this. I've always accepted this. And I want all of us to come out and own up. Why? Koku Buahe, who is their deputy communication officer, a good friend of mine, was engaged in Galamsey. And I'm saying without any equivocation here. So if say Koku Buahe being NDC officer doing Galamsey, for that matter, all NDC are doing Galamsey. He's not here, but of course, I know what I'm talking about. He mentioned Chamaun to me. No, he mentioned it. And I'm also saying something. So that's not a problem.
First of all, he has not been arrested and charged for doing galamsey, which is a criminal offense. He has not been convicted by any competent court.
Perfect.
He is not here to defend himself.
Excellent.
And therefore, Pan-African Television cannot
Distance
associate itself with these allegations.
I agree.
These are
I
unproven
agree
allegations. There's no basis for making these allegations.
I agree entirely. First of all, by the logic of Mr. Kwesi Pratt, he's not been arrested, he's not been charged by a competent court of jurisdiction or convicted by a competent court of jurisdiction. Okay? Therefore, the station here distances itself from my comments.
Yeah.
I believe same will apply to Wontumi.
Wontumi, absolutely.
Same would apply to Wontumi.
Wontumi was sent first of all.
Which court convicted?
I don't want to argue
No,
with
we're
you.
not arguing.
Listen to me. I don't, and I'm not here on my
Yes,
own personal
I know.
idiosyncrasies. Wontumi was arrested, sent to court in the Western region.
For doing galamsey.
Galamsey. This government, he said that, and Wontumi publicly has said that we arrested him and even burnt his equipment. This government has paid Wontumi compensation. When I'm talking, you see, when you're we're not here. You don't have like that.
No.
You don't have
Conclude on this one. Come on, conclude on this one. Let's proceed. I think we need to.
I am saying.
Wontumu's lawyer in the case.
Wontumu's
lawyer in the case was
Ebert Fable. Yeah, I know.
He said government has paid compensation.
Yes.
You see, I'm surprised that we will put legalities aside and put laws aside and say what we want. It suits us. Point is that you are saying government came today. The government came today and has paid Wontumi some compensation. Why you just sit down? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You don't have any.
Oh no.
Let's this kind of argument. I don't want to engage. I don't engage in argument with you. The Minister of Health and Natural Resources has confirmed payment of compensation to Wontumi.
On which platform?
On what?
Or is it public knowledge?
Yes,
On what basis was it paid?
Yeah.
That's the question. On what basis, if it was paid, on what basis was it paid? You think that we just get up and then take money and then give to anybody because we think that someone was arrested without recourse to any legality?
Okay.
Oh, come on.
So let's
just get up and say, no, I'm not just talking from the head.
No.
I mean, you are making allegations.
Okay, come on. Honorable,
this one is.
These are not allegations.
Respectfully. Come on, respectfully.
Please.
Come on, yes.
I am saying
conclude on this
that,
subject matter and then
in conclusion,
Yeah.
I'm saying that logic demands simply that someone who is mentioned, okay, and you have no proofs like what Mr. Pratt says, okay, that the person has actually been convicted by a competent court of jurisdiction or maybe has gone through a particular process, then of course don't mention it. And I'm saying that Wontumi, I started Wontumi. Then you went further to say Wontumi was, it's on record to have said that he was arrested and his equipment burnt. We all follow the processes in this country. I saw Wontumi on TV then when his equipment, the allegation of his equipment being burnt came out. That he was actually telling the whole world that he was holding a concession, a license.
What was Lagos license?
You understand? He said so.
What was his company?
You see, I'm saying
what was his company?
Honorable, let's yeah.
You see,
I am saying that we saw that
don't
on
know
TV.
anything.
So if at the end of the day, the man
You are
come up to tell I had a
communication
communication.
director
Listen to this.
But honorable, a publication. Honorable, a publication. Hold on, come on.
Don't let us do this. Let us speak to the truth.
Hold on. But
you know,
but honorable, a publication by Ghana were dated 10th of January 2017 says that government to pay Wontumi 1 billion judgment debt reviewed. Government to pay Wontumi 1 billion. So if that's what you're referring to,
you just get up and then you give money.
yeah, but to pay means that. We're done with this matter. Let's go to the big one, infrastructure, please.
Well. I think that you see when it suits you, you laugh and enjoy with whatever position you think you have. But of course, trust me, I will continue to say that the law is no respecter of persons in this country. Wisdom is not, okay, in the hands of an individual. Okay, it is something that is saturated and everybody has it. Now the point I want to make is simple. If indeed we are going to ensure that we fight wrong, then let's fight wrong holistically. Let us all come out and speak to what is wrong. That's the point I'm making. Now, infrastructure, we should delve into it. Yes, let me remind Ghanaians once again that inshallah on Saturday, the 22nd of August, the New Patriotic Party shall outdoor our manifesto for this year's election, and it's going to be in Cape Coast. I would entreat each and everyone to try as much as possible to follow the process. I think it's going to be largely virtual, as it were. Now, as part of outdooring our manifesto, we have had the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana speaking some few days back on the performance of this government in the aspect of infrastructure. And we have had the Vice President mentioning that there is a website named the deliverytracker.gov.gh.
Yeah.
Which website is a novelty, and of course, lovers of ICT will tell you that it makes governance easy, or access to governance processes in this country and what they do easy, as it were. Kwame.
Yes, my boss.
3 years and some months in office. The New Patriotic Party is not shy of coming out to tout what we have done for Mother Ghana. It's the second results fair that we've had. First of all, I want us to look at soft infrastructure and, of course, infrastructure as in mortar and bricks as well. What is soft infrastructure that we have put in place? Clearly, in the field of ICT, in the field of information technology, you would agree with me that a lot of digitization measures had been put in place to give us some ease as a people. Can name a lot of them, given the environment of the interoperability that we have. Of course, digitization is there. The numbering of houses, ensuring that, of course, your digital address is given to you. Of course, it's also a great soft infrastructure that we have provided. Now, even making sure that the data of this people who live in this country is well collected and put, if you like, together for us to have clarity as to non-citizens and citizens of this country being the Ghana card also is a process that, of course, we are proud of and all that. Infrastructure as in brick and mortar. I've always been happy and I've never regretted, and I will never regret being a member of the New Patriotic Party. You know why? As young as I am, following the recent politics in Ghana, taking the 4th Republican Constitution in perspective, coming up from 1992. I believe then I wasn't too young. At least being in secondary school that time will tell you that at least I wasn't too young, as it were. From 1992, running up to, if you like, 2000, when the MPP came into office. I'm talking infrastructure as in brick and mortar now. Let us face facts. Take Accra in 1999. Then take Accra from 2003 running to 2008. Accra in perspective alone. And I'm talking MPP, infrastructure delivery. Common sense. They say we should dwell on common sense. Before 2003, before 2004, before 2005, around 2008, my traveling from Circle to Ofonko barrier would have taken me close to 3 hours. That everybody knows. It was a single carriage road. That's the point I'm trying to make. Which government thought out of the box for us to ensure that at least we have a befitting road network linking Circle and Kumasi running? Without a doubt, the MPP. I've been able to take care of this argument of interchange has come. The Apenkwa interchange is there. Now the Akwaji interchange, which was the Sankara Circle then, under Rawlings, as it were. The Tetekwashi interchange is there. Run to Kumasi where we have the Sufo line interchange, Asafo interchange. Name them. I have counted about 10 interchanges. Now we have the almighty Pokwasi, which is where on the table for us to argue as to who went and secured the funds and who got the parliamentary approval and who did what. Then we have the N1 coming up from Tetekwashi coming up. Let's ask ourselves questions. The Adenta Pantan Road under the MPP. Take Tetekwashi, same. Opening of Accra, Mala Yamoransa Road, MPP again. Major roads in this country. Now, where we are today, we have a government that has come. The vice president on the interchanges has spoken. He says yes. If we come, handing over notes are given to us. And we look at the handing over notes, we try to review what we can review to ensure that value for money is achieved. And in the case of Pokwasi, for instance, we have come to meet an initiated, if you like, project
agreement.
Let us finalize it. African Development Bank and Ghana Bank of Government of Ghana are supposed to fund the interchange. We've come to meet it. The figure on it, some $94 million plus. That is including the counterpart funding from Ghana, as it were. When you add all, then let us negotiate to have it properly done, so the value for money would be seen to have been done clearly, my brother. The Pokwasi, which was supposed to be originally a 3-tier, if you like, interchange, based on same figures, negotiated by the NDC as they claim, okay, has moved to 4-tier. An improvement or a retrogression? Obviously, it's an improvement. They say we shouldn't talk about that one. We should just say that give credit to Mahama. He has initiated this. Okay, give credit to Tetekwashi, to MPP. That is why I started by mentioning all these ones. Governance is a continuum. And I could not have agreed more with the flag bearer of the NDC when he was in Ketu North speaking. This is John Dramani Mahama. He says, look, governance is running the baton race. We all try as much as possible to pass it on to whoever is supposed to pick it up. I couldn't have agreed more with him. I don't begrudge him. However, if you sought or you sit here and seek to say that, look, the government of the day has done nothing, when in fact the government of the day has a lot to prove on, to you, that indeed these are infrastructure we've held. I'm here to see a government that will come and say, I've never done anything. This argument of this government has done nothing, that government has done nothing, I am not for it, objectively. Every government does something. However, the measure as to who has done more or better is where we are. And I'm saying that what the vice president did the last time was a great, if you like, piece of presentation. Was to tell Ghanaians that, look, we have a link for you to move on to see what we are doing in your district, in your locality, of course, in your region. We have a tracker. Move it on and see how it goes. Then, of course, projects that are huge, that we have embarked on, like the Tema motorway and all that. What goes into it, we have to. Then the argument is like we abandoned projects. The next moment, it is like, it's MPP, NDC project that you came to complete. The person says you have abandoned project. The same person says you have come to complete NDC project. Which is the stance? This argument of infrastructure will continue. We'll all talk about it. However, let's be factual and realistic about what we say on each platform.
Very well. Thank you very much, Kamaldeen. Honorable Inusa Fuseni.
So first of all,
you want to rebut a few things from the
first of all, Kamal, it's not true that Pokwasi interchange has been renegotiated to a 4-tier. It's not true. And Pokwasi interchange is not $94 million. It's not true. That's why I believe that you don't have the facts before coming here. It's unfortunate that you have come to meet on the two issues that we have discussed. You were discussing with the sector minister. So I can understand why you don't have the facts. The Pokwasi interchange, the amount of money is 64 million. The loan, 64 million. The Pokwasi interchange has 3 tiers. It has a top tier, which is 495.5 meters long. Is 16, the width is 60 meters. The second tier, which is the ramp A of the second tier, has the same length with the top tier, which is 495.5, and 16, that is 16 meters. That is the ramp A. The ramp B of that same tier has 995 meters, and the span is 9 meters, the width. The last tier has 167.6 meters long, and 16. Now, and so forth. You see why Pokwase interchange is designed the way it is designed. And you see, I don't know what you did, what your specialty. When you design a project, it is the design that will show you the cost of the project. This is the design, because nobody goes to the bank. We didn't just go to African Development Bank to say give us 64 million. That's not so. You do a design, do the planning, do the quantities, what will go into doing the road or the interchange, and then cost the quantities, then aggregate all the heads of activity. That gives you, plus your contingency, that gives you the cost of the project. And then you can then go to your bankers or your financiers to ask for money. Now, when you say you are negotiated a fourth tier, you know that implication. It means that you have negotiated for the contractor to sink piers, okay, to put another flyover. At what cost? At what cost? Because the first tier has a cost, the second tier has a cost, the third tier has a cost. So you're negotiated. Have you seen the design of the fourth tier? Have you seen the picture? You have not. No, you have not. You should be truthful.
There's a picture circulating.
No, there's no fourth tier. No, it's not true.
And then you answer your question.
No, it's not true.
Okay.
So you answer the question.
You see? Okay. It was a rhetorical question.
No.
You see how unfair we are?
There's no fourth tier.
Okay, all right.
Because the tiers have cost.
Okay.
Truth is true too.
Now, Pokwase interchange is a box gilder. It's concrete. It's just concrete. It's a concrete interchange. The piles, those that to be able to put the interchange to stand still and firm, you need to sink piles in the ground to get to a substructure that is firm enough to hold the interchange. Pokwase interchange has 7,000 piers. 7,000 meters, not piers. 7,000 meters of piers. Now, why Bawumia should not be taken seriously? Because I have said that Bawumia has now, by what he has done, he has graduated with first class honors in propaganda from the University of Telling Lies. Because the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, I told you the width of the long span is 16 meters. That tells you that only two vehicles can go up and down at the same time. Only two vehicles. Pokwase interchange, the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, the width is 20. The flyover is 24 meters. So that means at any time on either side of the bridge, 3 vehicles. So you have 3 lane. Bawumia compares
6 lane.
Yes. Bawumia compares that to even Obichebe, because it says even to Tamale. 6 lane interchange. Kwame Nkrumah interchange is a composite steel bridge. It's steel reinforced. Kwame Nkrumah interchange, to be able to put the bridge there, what you don't see, what Bawumia doesn't see, that makes him engage in that comparison, is that 40,000 meters of piles have been put in the ground. 40 kilometers of piles have been put in the ground to make the bridge stand. That cost you don't see. That's huge cost you don't see. You see, Kwame Nkrumah interchange. The two main terminals, you say in 1992 you were sufficiently grown. You were sufficiently grown. You know the Odona Trotro station. I don't know whether at that time you had come to Accra.
Is it a rhetoric one or you want me to answer stuff?
No, you can answer. This one is a direct question.
You answer it yourself.
That Odona Trotro station was where I used to take a car to Odoko. And everybody knows how it was. You remember that during the time of Rollins, the student who was knocked down by the taxi.
I wasn't in Accra.
Oh, you're not in Accra. That Trotro station has been redeveloped. It's part of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. You know the new plant station? The new plant station, where we take car to Kumasi, has been redeveloped. Not only redeveloped, you see the building that is occupied by the GPRTU is part of the project. You see, there was a photo studio, Tiptoe Gardens or what? Modern photos. You see that in front of that, you see that road has been done. That is part of the contract. You see from PT, when you descend the ramp, going towards Akasanuma, up to post office, you see up to the gantry, where the traffic light is, that is the approach. That's part of the interchange. You see in front of New Times, you see the road, you see how it is done, and nice. That's part of the interchange. You know the Accra retailers market, Accra, what they used to call it, the one when they sack the people from the street and build a market for them. Around that area, you see that the road has been done there. It's part of the interchange. You see the mosque where we used to pray after Orion. It's now a new mosque, very nice. It's part of the interchange.
That's why it's 260 million.
No, I'm coming. When they are shaving you, you don't rub your head though. If not, you'll be cut. You'll be cut.
Okay.
When they are robbing you, when they are shaving, don't rub your head. Now, Bawumia seeks to compare that with Obichebe Lamte. I went to Parliament and secured the facility for the first phase of Obichebe Lamte. And my brother, this MPP, stealing and looting their first class.
Really?
Yes. The first phase of Obichebe Lamte circle interchange was 35 million. I secured it. That has been maintained. The first phase, 35 million. The second phase of Obichebe Lamte was 63 million. Ramp. The road was dual carriage, asphalt, road safety measure, traffic lights, storm drain, major box culverts, design and supervision costs, utilities, connection market and market terminal and traffic management works, and fiscal contingencies of 10%. $63 million. Today, Bawumia says it's $100 million. Bawumia says the second phase is $100 million. And by the cabinet meanwhile is 87 million euro. Who has padded the contract? By that calculation, who has padded the contract? The first phase is 35 million, and it's 35 million. But Bawumia says it's 35 million. That was secured by my good self acting as Minister for Roads and Highways. Bawumia says yes, it's true. It's 35 million. But the second phase that was to be secured, which is 67 million, it's 33 million. Bawumia and his government have secured 87 million euro, which Bawumia has converted to 100 million euro. Who has padded the contract? Where is the difference of 37 million coming from?
Converted to $100 million or $100 million euro again.
Converted to $100 million. No, I'm talking about, no, don't confuse the listeners.
So 87 and then dollars is 100 million. Okay.
No, yes. 87 million euros.
And
But yes, it's $100 million.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You do your mathematics.
No, Bawumia says the whole project at Obichebe Lamte will be.
That's what I was saying, clarity.
Oh, please. Bawumia says that the whole project at Obichebe Lamte will be 135 million. I heard him. Dollars. Yeah. I say that the agreement that we signed with Kiros Gavao, first phase and second phase, is 98 million. Where is the difference of 37 million coming from? $98 million. The first and second phase of the project, I just read it, included the redevelopment of the Canadian Market Terminal. Under the redesign of MPP, they have removed the Canadian Market Terminal. It included, like we did for Kwame Nkrumah Circle, the Statute of Dankwa is removed. So where is the cost going? If you're talking of pardon. Now let me tell you. Bawumia says that the Tamale interchange, Bawumia, that the Tamale interchange is 35,195 million dollars. I'm telling Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that is untrue. That was the initial EPC contract. The initial EPC contract. The total cost of the project, I mean, the EPC project, which is 85% of the total cost of the project today, is $47.6 million. $47.6 million. Why am I saying all these things? I'm just demonstrating, and in the next few days, we will disclose to Mahmoud Bawumia that you can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool all the people all the time. In the next few days, we will demonstrate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the MPP government about the deceit, dishonesty, and thievery that they are engaging. And when they want to do it, they do it like Kondongo Pierre. You shout wolf, wolf, creating the impression that you are being attacked so that you have opportunity to attack others. Because they know what they have done. The building of the infrastructure, I will show you. The building of the sea defense, how the contractor even won his contract. In the next few days, we will demonstrate to you, for you to know. But I never even knew that toilets could make it to the Guinness Book of Record. I never knew.
People are laughing in the studio.
I never knew. Because in my constituency, as member of parliament for Tamale Central, I did 4 toilets. 4 toilets. One at Dohanayele, one at Salamba, one at Gumbini, and one at Lamakara. It never made it anywhere apart from in Tamale Central. Never made it anywhere. School blocks. School blocks. I did a school block at Dohanayele, Denesri, under MA Kufo. I did a Mahatalia, I did a school block, 3 classroom block. Queen Elizabeth, I did a story building, 2-story building, and converted the Denes, old Denes. I'm sure you see it. I did it. I did that thing. I did the police barracks, 6 classroom block. The police barracks. I built a new school in Agric. There was no school around that area, Agric, apart from Ambaria. I did, and it's called Malzalnada. It bears my king title, my title, chieftaincy title. I did that. I did it. It didn't make it to a green book. It didn't make it. Look, Salafia, it was in Rafters. You know how they do the Rafters? It was an Arabic school in Rafters. I built 9 classroom blocks for Salafia. It never made it to a green book. I'm sure NDC will have to do a new tracker. And all the constituencies will send in. Look, Zebule Block A and Block B. 6 classroom blocks each. It never made it to anywhere. Water systems, they even put boreholes in their achievements. Go to Changle, the cheese palace, the old cheese palace, and go to Mohayebi, Agri Mohayebi. You find my water system standing there. It never made it anywhere. It was supported by Sahara to do them. It never made it to anywhere. Never made it to anywhere. Extended a pipeline from the road from Dohanayele behind the hospital into Dohanayele. It never made it anywhere. I think that's also infrastructure and also water infrastructure. It never made it anywhere. Look, clinic, Mosizango Clinic. Have you heard of the name before? It's innocent for saying it. It never made it anywhere. Have you ever seen Mosizango Clinic in the Green Book? Or have you ever seen John Dramani Mahama talking about part of his achievement is that he got a Mosizango Clinic? This is laughable. I'm sure that by Mahmoud Bawumia's record and by the MPP's record, I'm sure I'm qualified to be a president. No, even my constituency have been able to deliver all these things and more. And I don't tout them as achievements. Roads. If you go to Channel, you will see tar roads. In front of Barhama's house, you see a tar road. I never said that. Street lighting. I never said they were achievements. I'm sure I'm qualified to be a president.
Thank you, Mr. Let's come to Mr. Pratt because of time. Mr. Pratt, no, I'll come to you. Don't worry. I'll give Mr. Pratt, please. Let's take us away, Mr. Pratt. Come on. I'll give you 1 minute. A few minutes. Let me just listen to Mr. Pratt and then I'll come to you respectfully. I'll do that. Mr. Pratt, please.
But let me ascertain this. The Pokwasi interchange, if I heard the former minister right, cost 64 million. Well, no, 64 million.
Yes.
And not 94 million.
No, it's
94.8. Is that it?
64.
I see. That is why when you seek to call someone, okay, peddler of untruths, then of course peddle truths. Let's get there. We'll get there.
Okay, all right, Mr. Pratt.
Well, you know that Pan-African Television actually elected to show the town hall meeting of Dr. Bawood Mamumia live and in full. At the end of it all, I must say in all honesty that I was so heavily disappointed. I was so heavily disappointed because basic rules of logic and of quantity surveying and engineering were completely ignored in that analysis. You don't take project and say, look, I'm building a house, okay? I'm building a house. And therefore, the cost of the house I'm building must be the equivalent of any other house. Pan-African Television is in a house now, okay? You know that the Despite group of companies is building another house just across the street. That is a house and this is a house. Are we going to say that the cost of this house and the house being built by the Despite group of companies, because they are all houses, must be the same? No. That's pedestrian. It's so pedestrian, it's unbelievable. First of all, how was this building designed? What are the materials that went into building this? This building may have marbles in it. That one may not have marbles in it. The structure of this building may require more pillars than the structure of the other building and so on. So in determining cost and comparing cost, it's important to look at topography. And topography is just the area, the geography of the place where the construction is taking place. Because that also determines cost and it leads to cost variations, topography. The other thing that leads to cost variations and so on is also design. Because, for example, we know that the Pokwasi interchange is concrete. And we know that the Kwame Nkrumah interchange is steel. You cannot compare the cost of concrete and the cost of steel and so on. So design is an important element in determining cost, and design leads to cost variations and so on. So to stand in front of microphones and say that, oh, we did 4 interchanges for the price of 1. I'm being very careful because if I don't take time, I may use words which may create problems. But that's so pedestrian and uninformed. I mean, it is so sickening. The one interchange must cost the same as another interchange. 2 interchanges must cost the same as 2 interchanges and so on. What kind of arithmetic is that? What level of illiteracy is that? Complete illiteracy. I mean, I can't believe it. So pedestrian. This is not the kind of analysis you expect from a primary school child. You're talking interchanges. You are comparing as if you are comparing the prices of cola. Even the price of cola.
Why cola is different from
exactly. There are different types of cola. There are different sizes of cola, and so on. So even the prices of cola, you don't compare it like that. So I'm completely scandalized by this. And then I've also taken the time to do some study and so on. You know that the circle, Kwame Nkrumah interchange at the circle, was originally priced at 74 million.
That's the Akasonoma to
Its original price was 74 million. That price had to be varied because one more bridge was introduced into the structure. And then it was decided to build an office complex also there. It was then decided to build 2 trotro stations there. It was decided that all the roads around the place should be added. You understand? That is why even the graphic road, the asphalted graphic road, is considered as part of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange at Circle. The West Industrial Area roads, asphalted, is also considered as part of the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. The road in front of Mechanical Lloyd, leading to graphic between Mechanical Lloyd and State Transport Corporation, is also part of the project. It is these additions that shot the value of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange to 170 something.
No, the second is the 170. So what they have done is what they have done is that they've just simply converted the 74.8. It's not truth with truth. Come on, I don't want this this illiterate type of.
Can I finish?
The first phase is 74.8. That's what Bobia, and we didn't quote it in dollars.
Master, I beg you, can I finish? So that is the value of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange and so on. Now there's something interesting. The costing for the Ofankor interchange. Who did it? The project was initiated by the old regime. Okay? The old regime did the costing. So if you start comparing the cost of the Ofankor interchange to the cost of Kwame Nkrumah interchange, what you're actually doing is that you're comparing the cost of 2 Mahama projects.
It's one of his two projects.
2 Mahama projects. That's what you're comparing. You understand? And this whole thing makes me so sick. But even this is not the major issue. I mean, since this town hall meeting was held, many people have been trying to do fact checking. And one of the institutions which is doing fact checking is Joy Media, the Joy Media, Multimedia. And yesterday, Multimedia went to Kanda, to the site of a water project in Kanda. And they took photographs, they spoke to residents and so on. I'm sure those who watched Multimedia yesterday have seen it. When I saw it, I was embarrassed. All that had happened in Kanda was that there was an attempt to sink a borehole. Okay? You know, when they sink the borehole, they put some pipe on it and then they cover it. That is the state of the water project. The borehole in my house is far better than that borehole which finds its place in the online green book. You understand? The online green book. The difference is that one green book is online and one is on paper.
They actually have got a blue book. What they are doing is that they are hiding it.
Master, what is the difference between the green book and what is, the
town hall meeting.
I'm talking
when he's done. Don't worry.
Actual fact checking. There was a place where it was claimed that some housing projects had taken place. Fact checkers went there. Virgin land. And I don't want to do the fact checkers job and so on, because everybody has seen all these fact checks all over the country by different media houses and so on. It's all clear. It's all very, very clear. You know, I suspect that all of this is happening because we have about 3 months, a little over 3 months to elections. And His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is trying to showcase the achievements of his government and so on. Yesterday, I read a piece by a gentleman that I've been reading recently called James Usegubuatin, who did an analysis of the Bawumia press conference and said, look, promises were made, clear promises were made. Manifesto promises were made, other promises were made. What the people of Ghana are interested in today is to find out whether those promises have been fulfilled or not. Not this rigmarole dancing around. You understand? What are some of the concrete promises which were made? One of the concrete promises which was made is that Ghana was borrowing too much, and that was affecting our economic standing and so on. And that if this regime came into power, it would borrow less. Today, there's an analysis of Ghana's debt portfolio in the daily graphic of today. I've just finished reading it. And Master, it is completely shocking. So shocking. I mean, this government has actually borrowed 2 times more than all governments in Ghana in recorded history.
In 3.5 years.
Master, this government has borrowed more than 2 times what all governments of Ghana in recorded history have borrowed in 3.5 years. I mean, incredible. This is what the people of Ghana want to hear. They want to hear what happened to the promise to reduce borrowing, and so on. That's one. Number 2, inflation was one of the things that was discussed, a lot. The promise was to reduce inflation to single digit and maintain it at the level of single digit. What has happened to inflation? Today, as we talk, inflation is in the double digits. What happened to that promise? Inflation is in the double digits. The other promise which was made had to do with the state of our national currency. State of our national currency. Indeed, we were told that our national currency was being devalued at such a level that it was posing a problem for economic development and so on. In the last 3.5 years, what has happened to the value of our national currency? That's what people want to hear. You understand? People want to know about petroleum pricing. What has happened to petroleum pricing in the last 3 years or so? Now, because the answers to these questions are not positive, we then run and take cover under this whole useless debate about infrastructural development and cost and so on, which is not based on any empirical analysis. Listen, this is the article I was talking about. In today's daily graphic, I'm talking about today's daily graphic. I'm not, here is it, today's daily graphic. Page 28, on the business page, and the title is Economy Entrapped by Debts. And it's written by Maxwell Akalari Adumbila. Listen, first paragraph. Ghana's debt stock has risen to 258.4 billion, raising concerns about the country's debt profile. The spike in borrowings in recent times has caused the national debt stock to hit a grim milestone of 258.4 billion Ghana cedis in June this year, more than double of the national debt stock as of December 2016, which was 122 billion Ghana cedis. This is daily graphic. This is not me. Combined with other fiscal slippages, the increased borrowing has boxed the country into a tight corner that now requires the more than 3/4 of total revenue and grants be used to service interest and pay down the principals. Are you listening? We have borrowed so much that, now you require 3/4, 3/4 of grants, of all the money we earn, including grants, to be used to service interest alone.
Yes.
3/4. So when you collect all the money, including grants and so on, you are left with only 1/4
For the moment.
to run this country. That's how bad the situation has become. This is Daily Graphic, and I'm reading directly from Daily Graphic. It says, the development has also complicated the fiscal rigidities bedeviling the economy, resulting in many experts and think tanks concluding that the country could only turn the tide when its debts are forgiven.
Yes.
Similar to what happened under the highly indebted Poor Countries Initiative and Multilateral Debt Relief Initiative program in 2002. So after HIPIC, in 3.5 years, we have been returned to HIPIC. And this is not my analysis. This is not my analysis. Now, if you have this situation, do you go comparing a circle interchange to Tamale interchange? How does that help us solve this situation? You have this grim situation of a collapsing national economy. And your remedy is to compare Accra interchange to Tamale interchange. Abba, what is happening? What kind of politicians do we have in our country? This country is in serious trouble. Look, in the 1970s, around 1976, I saw an analysis of the Ghanaian economy. And at that time, about 66-67% of total national revenue and so on was being expended on debt servicing. And we were alarmed. We raised the alarm. Today, 80%, not just of total national revenue, but 80% of revenue, including grants, has to be spent on debt servicing. Are you not frightened? Master, I am frightened. I'm shaking. The economy is sinking. It's sinking. These are the statistics. And then what are we doing? We are establishing websites which to tout our achievements. And the achievements include culverts. Culverts.
Can you imagine?
Culverts. When your economy is sinking, when you have to spend 80% of total national revenue plus grants to service debt, you are happy that you have constructed culverts, gutter to gutter. Is that what is going to take us out of this doldrum? Unbelievable.
Come on, my time is up, but I'll give you a few minutes to just. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Quick one. You see, I retorted and said truth is truth. And of course, my good brother Alhaji Inusa Fuseni said he abhors illiterate response to certain or illiterate comments. Of course, I have no problem. I enjoy literate, truthful, and factual analysis. Literate, truthful, and factual analysis of issues. Why I said truth was truth, and truth is simple. When Mr. Kwesi Pratt was speaking and spoke about the first phase of the circle interchange and the second phase of the circle interchange, costings of the first phase and the costing of the second phase. If you listen, and of course viewers are my witnesses, if you listen to the honorable former deputy minister, former minister, he said Circle costed us 98 million. I listened to him.
No,
Yeah,
he was talking about
wait a minute. No, you spoke. No, you see, the point is that I listened to you. It's not about lies. Maybe you didn't get it right. Maybe you didn't get it.
Because he spoke.
I said, he spoke about Obichebi. He spoke about 35 million.
Yeah.
He spoke about 30. No. Honorable, let's not do this. Let's not do this. Honorable, please.
Just a few seconds.
Let's have a discussion.
No, we're
listening to you.
We were all listening.
And of course, you can even review it.
Yeah, so, yeah.
If you want to replay.
Yeah.
My point I want to make is simple.
The point, yes.
The amount of money spent on Circle interchange, what's the total?
It's 260.
Absolutely. Did
260.
Baume lie?
I was just saying.
Did Baume lie?
No, I was just saying that 74.
Did Baume lie?
Oh, right.
That's the question.
Who said
Did
it?
Baume lie? Now you move to Tamale and say it is not 35 million, it is 47 million by your own calculation.
No, by my own calculation.
Again,
you want me to shoot through
no, you see, oh please, you see, honorable, when you do this, we don't have a discussion.
Where's your document?
When you do this, we don't, look,
where's your document?
My document is what I've read and I'm telling you what I have seen. It's here in my hand. Why not say that? What are you talking about? You see, and then you went ahead. Let me tell you the third one. The last one.
And end for me.
He took Pokwase.
Yeah.
And said unequivocally that the cost of Pokwase interchange was 64 million. It's not true. The funding we got from African Development Bank is 64 million. However, government of Ghana is supposed to also take part in the funding of that project. The balance of it is paid by government of Ghana.
But who gives
us to 94 million and make it? Check it.
Whose decision is it?
You sit down. I am saying that there are two entities. There are two entities funding Pokwase interchange.
Yeah.
You see, there's a truth. Truth will remain the truth. And I'm saying that the government funding.
Yeah, we'll get
the government funding takes part. These are two entities funding.
30 million.
I'm saying that you have 64 million from African Development Bank, the engineering designs and whatever that you took there to negotiate for the funding. I agree with you. However, government of Ghana is supposed to fund the rest to make it 94 million. That is clear and it's on record. You can Google it. Simple check on Google will even tell you how much it costs at Pokwase. But we come to sit here and then we say what suits us. Then we turn around to claim that we know everything in this world.
What documents did you
I think it's
refer to?
pathetic. So sad. Honestly, it's pathetic.
Document, okay.
Honestly, it's very pathetic.
Is what he's saying true?
Please, let me.
Yes.
When you are doing project funding from development partners, you need Ghana government contribution. Every project, even a Tamale interchange. The project cost is not 35 million. As my 35 million is 85% of the cost.
Okay.
So government contribution will make up the 15%.
Okay.
The normal criteria is when you are doing a project supported by your development partner, your contribution should be between 10-15%.
I see what you
mean. So if 10-15% cannot give you 10,
okay. All right.
That's a local government.
All right. Thank you very much. Honorable, come on. Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Thank you. Today, gentlemen. No, thank you, Kamaldeen. Kamaldeen, thank you, Kamaldeen. Thank you, thank you, Mr. Pratt. Today has been very, very exceptional. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye bye.